Hi guys, welcome back to the ZEZE MILLZ show. Obviously, I'm ZEZE MILLZ and today we have a special guest in the building. I've been waiting for this one. Every time I see him out, I'm like, Arrdee, when are we gonna get an interview? And he's like, don't worry, Z, it's coming. And now the moment has come. Arrdee, how are you?
I'm good, I told you before, I'm feeling healthier than usual. How are you? You good?
I'm good. I was saying, like I just said, every time I see you, it's always out. I always see you at a festival, I see you out at like a night out or some premiere or something.
With alcohol and parties going on.
And you are always the life of the party. Like you always are just so energetic. Like you come up and you just look like you're so happy to be in that environment or just to be living the life that you're living now. I saw you at Davido's concert and you came on, top off everything, did a little dance, everyone was going crazy for Arrdee. How does it feel?
Yeah, that feeling there is a different one, obviously in general, but even compared to like other shows, I've always said I never get like nervous before a set. If I've done clubs, obviously I've done Reading, that was massive, done Wireless, things like that. But in that O2 Arena, the atmosphere and vibe is just different. Obviously, it's not like my make or break moment, but it just feels like it is a very important moment, and like for everything to be set up properly. And also at club shows, and it's 18 plus, and I can go like, yeah, who's getting drunk tonight? Yeah, fucking who's single and rare. It's more just you have to have your presence proper carry that set. So yeah, the feeling's big.
Are you enjoying everything?
Of course I am. Obviously young and very, very blessed and gifted with everything that I've got so far. So yeah, it'd be weird if I weren't enjoying it. There'd definitely be a problem. Sometimes, like I say, management might say I enjoy myself too much.
I was gonna say, because earlier before we started filming, I was like, how old are you? And Ardie's like, he's 19. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're like living the perfect life of a 19-year-old. He's like, not really. I was like, mate.
No.
What was it? What did I say? You said...
I was saying I don't really get to be 19.
Okay, that's what you said. He said he doesn't get to be 19. And I said, you are living the best 19-year-old life ever. Because when you're 19 and you're young, you're like, oh man, I wish I could go here. I wish I could go partying. I wish I had the money to do it. And you literally...
The point I was kind of making was like, I've got less, like from the ages of teenage all the way until, well, obviously forever you make mistakes, but you have a lot of leeway and freedom to fuck up and make mistakes. But I've got in a public eye and things like that, there are less stupidness I can get up to or get caught doing. Especially in my generation, film absolutely everything in it.
Well, the other day I saw that video of the girl going viral, but then we found out it was awful.
Yeah, come on,
it was awful.
Never get lucky like that with these lot round me.
I was thinking, how did this happen?
No, they'd never
looking so peaceful. I was thinking, and it was so funny because all the comments were just like, "Rosh, you managed to put a full face of makeup on before. Like, how did my girl get to do that?" And I was thinking, something's not right here. Something is not.
But I got everyone talking in it. So
is it like you're saying, growing up in this social media era? I mean, you haven't really known any different, have you?
Well, I don't have social media till I was 13 though, but that was more of like a parental thing than not coming from it.
You still live in Brighton, so you come back down just to do what you need to do. You come down here today, thanks for this. You come down to work, but you still live in Brighton, which I was actually quite shocked because normally...
Why is everyone's always shocked about this? Have you had like a night out in Brighton or just been, even if you're not partying?
No, I haven't.
Sick, I'm gonna take you one time. It's live,
Is it?
Yeah,
so I need to come
you've got like the promenade, when the sun, like today, even though it's not summer, as soon as a bit of sun's out, like traffic flooded all along the seafront. Everybody's walking there. People's like shotting sunglasses and speakers and doing things. You've got the basketball courts and day drinkers and beaches packed. It's just lit. It's vibes, isn't it? Everybody's on good energy.
But normally, what happens is though, because you get so like immersed with work, you end up moving to London. But do you feel like staying in Brighton keeps you a bit more grounded?
That's literally the exact reason why. Obviously I like to, even though I am completely myself when I'm Arrdee or whatever you want to call it, like the brand, I like to separate. There is a difference between what is seen on social media and my brand and my performances and music and my day-to-day life and my mum and private things. So also, like you're saying, Brighton is grounding. Like, as much as I'm one of the first, if not the only, to be doing what I'm doing from that town, like no one cares because people still do ask for pictures, but like when I'm in London, it's a lot more like, yo, it's Arrdee and it's a lot more intense, it's bigger in it and there's more, so yeah, maybe it's just because like we're more of a communal, it's a smaller town, so yeah.
So how did you even get into this? So talk to me about how it all started, because I think a lot of people became aware of you obviously because of the Body remix, but you had songs out before that, right? Because I remember I came across you before the Body remix.
Yeah, which one?
It was, you would say, you'd be really cheeky and you was walking along the pier with
6 a.m. in Brighton.
That's how I became aware of you.
Yeah.
And you was quite cheeky in that. And I remember actually, I don't know if you actually know, but when Sam called me for when you was doing the body remix, I was like, Z, are we allowed to say, have you seen the state of her body? And I was just
he kept saying
and I was just like, yeah, of course. I was like, I'm sure in 6 a.m. Brighton, he says something similar, you say something about
I say something way worse.
You did, yeah. And I was thinking that is the least of your worries of have you seen the set? He's like, no, we just want to make sure. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure it will be fine, Sam.
He never told me he was going to call you, but he come and told me afterwards that just by the way, I've just clarified, like you can say it. I was like, I never asked for permission, it was coming out. But all right.
No, but talk to me. You obviously had that before Body Remix and there was a buzz building about you, but then everyone kind of became really aware of you through the Body Remix. But you had music out before that. Is that annoying for you as someone where you're like, mate, I was doing stuff before that. Don't try and make out like this was the thing that...
No, because obviously, in a sense, big up Tion and Russ every time for bringing me on the tune. But in a sense, that is what gave me my massive limelight. But also, if that was the only thing or the sole reason that I had a career, that would be the end of my career. That would be the pinnacle. And there wouldn't be Oliver Twist and Flowers and Wasted and With It and the album coming and things like that.
Because you've actually, I just saw that you've had 5 top 20s in the last year,
less than a year,
in less than a year. And I don't think people, like you said, I don't think people realise that you're actually continuously one after there, one after there, one after one. Do you ever get worried, like, so Body happened, do you ever get worried? Because I know with me, I do an interview and it does really well. Like when I had my first big interview, I was like, oh, that done really well. Then you put another interview and you're like, oh, is that going to do as well? Okay, that's all right. Okay, people are... At what point did you realise, oh, okay, this is something that is actually now happening and it's not just that one thing and people are actually fucking with me hard?
It's never a thing where it's like, oh, you know what, it's happening now. That would be complacency, just expecting like, oh, you know what, yeah, my songs do this. Like obviously, because that's what it looks like, because everyone that is being released is touching that point in the charts. There is so much planning and meetings and hard work and marketing ideas and loads of things that we put into it for that to success and, you know what I mean, numbers and whatnot to stay doing what they're doing. And if I was laid back, then it wouldn't be that. So, but I feel like the question you're asking is worrying about, is the next one
because you're constantly topping or you're constantly progressing and you're constantly, oh wow, you've done this, oh sick. Every time you put a video on YouTube, it's trending.
Yeah.
Is that the pressure? How does that pressure feel? Or is it just, I'm enjoying it and it is what it is?
I wouldn't say pressure yet. There are times where, because obviously music is different to like, even like an interview, and obviously like a lot more based off numbers, and you need, the more people that watch it, the better and the bigger the interviews are. Whereas I feel like with music, if the internet was to die today and there weren't no phones and all of these things here, music would still very much be alive, and music is bigger than that and more powerful than that. So there are some times where I'm like, oh, I'm worried about this number or watch the streams or blah, blah, blah. But sometimes I let the team do that a bit more and I just focus on the passion and love that I've got for the craft itself. And that's one thing that I've always said, it's never a thing of I'm writing, like I'm gonna write this song to make sure that I get into this chart position. I'm writing how I feel at the time or creating vibes in the studio, and obviously people are feeling it, innit? So they're drawing to it.
What would you say your genre is? Because somebody said, everything.
Yeah, once the tape's out, it's music, innit?
Yeah, because someone said that to me. They was like, okay, what is he a drill artist? And I was like, I wouldn't say that, you know. And they was like, so what would he? I said, do you know what? That's actually...
But obviously it's a valid question because every single release I've done so far is 140 BPM. It's got the not standard, but it has like the kind of drill kicks and hi-hats. Obviously drill was expanding massively as well in the fact that there are other subjects and concepts that you can go off, and it's not necessarily just about what drill was 4 or 5 years ago when it was a lot more like badness and things like that. So it's a valid question, but nah, I'm a musician, singing, rapping, dancing, musician.
So the mixtape is called Peer Pressure. Yeah. So interesting, did you spell peer like that on purpose?
Yeah, but let me not like take all the flowers for that, because it weren't my idea. I had another name for it.
I was like, oh, that's smart.
Hard, innit?
That's really smart.
Large up my DJ double. He come up with that. Well, literally, we were just outside a hotel, like before a show. Obviously, the show give you out. I can't remember where it was. It might have been like Watford or something. It was around like the uni time. I was doing all the uni shows. And we were just outside smoking a cigarette, ready to get in the car and leave. And me and Carl weren't too sure on a name. They've been for even 6 AM in Brighton, that was going to be called Coastal Flows. And it just weren't sitting right. Like, nah, it's not the one, like, we need to think of a name, blah, blah, blah. And then, yeah, same thing kind of happened with the tape. And then Double, my DJ, obviously he's from Brighton as well. He said, why don't you call it peer pressure? And I was like, shut up, bruv, I'm not pressuring no one. Like, me thinking about like peers pressure.
Right.
And he was like, nah, like, you've come from Brighton, you've been putting pressure on the scene, rah. So.
But do you ever feel peer pressure though? As in, do you ever feel being in this scene, which is like heavily male dominated, do you ever feel that you have to live up to a certain expectation that rappers normally have, or that rappers are supposed to be this type of way? Do you ever feel you have to live up to that standard?
If you want an honest answer, yes, but it's not something that I do. It's almost something that I consciously try and not do. Obviously, my advice when I get asked on radio and things like that, like what's your one bit of advice for a musician or just people in general, I always say that whatever you're doing, you'll be most successful being your 100% self. No one can be you as well as you. So sometimes, if I'm watching too much face, obviously I come from social media era, so I'm constantly on social media, which ain't healthy for no one's brain. So it is easy to get lost in like, oh, everyone else is acting this kind of way, maybe that's what's working, I should go for that. And I kind of have to slap myself and be like, nah, the reason I am where I am and got to where I am in such a like fast way is because it's different, innit? I'm me.
I think you have a good, I think what happens, you have a good balance, because what happens, elephant in the room, what happens is you have a rapper like yourself who is obviously white, and then people start talking about cultural appropriation, and because you're in a space that is predominantly black rappers, right, at the time. So people then start talking about this cultural appropriation, which I'm the first to be like, I don't really. But I feel like with you, you actually have a very good balance, as in the music that you put out, like you just said, is true to yourself, how you've always been, but it just so happens that you're in a space that has a lot of black people. But how does that make you feel when people say things like, oh, cultural appropriation, or, you know, I saw a lot of talk around when it was Jingle Bell Ball about you being able to be at Jingle Bell Ball, but Russ and Tion wasn't, and all these. How does that make you feel?
Well, obviously, at the time of that, so I'll go off one by one. The Jingle Bell Ball thing, at the time, I was saying to you before, it wasn't actually something that I saw, and it was so last minute. Even me doing the 2 days, because of COVID and things like that, I think Coldplay or something couldn't make it to the show, so I had to fill in last minute. And obviously, me being...
Hold tight, Arrdee, fill in for Coldplay. See how you just dropped that in there really nice? Like,
yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said that,
Coldplay, they cancelled, so they just hit me up, like, next.
No, but yeah, so one, it was very last minute, and two, I was more just kind of lost in the excitement of like, bruv, this time last year I was working in the Amazon warehouse. So yeah, it wasn't necessarily something that I thought of. Obviously, they'd asked me to perform Flowers. Like if it was a thing where they'd asked me to perform Body, everybody knows, Antion and Russ know straight away. I'm ringing them and blah blah blah. And I still speak to them both regularly. So I try not to pay attention too much to social media, because a lot of times people have things to say that even in their own head they don't genuinely believe, but it's a like on a comment, and the more popular that comment is, the more other people see, oh, well, he said this and got this many likes. So if I say this, maybe my page will get some traction and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, the Jingle Bell Ball thing itself weren't something I was thinking about. And it's kind of the same answer for the other one. Like, music to me is a passion and something I've been in love with, literally, from when I can remember. My mum's always been in love with music and always sung together, and it's music something she's installed in me from young and putting me into doing things, and like even it was street dance at first, but it's all obviously music based, innit? And rap music.
What are we gonna see? When are we gonna see like bust a routine?
You know, like,
one
day when we're touching,
imagine one day you'll be like
doing global
you'll just be like Jingle Bell Ball. Next year you'll be like
busting out moves and that.
Like that, like just do some next. I can see it.
But yeah, like, it's just music is a passion for me and something, and I'm in love with, and it happened to be rap music and hip hop at the age of 8 or 9 years old. I think it was. I bought my first Eminem and Lil Wayne album around the same time.
You have a close relationship with your mum, right? Yeah. Really close, and it was really heartwarming when you bought her the car. And how did that feel to be able to do that also at such a young age? Like,
yeah,
wow.
It's a sick feeling, and it's an even better feeling, yeah, because obviously she absolutely loves it, but she's really like, nah, like, just almost refuses to take anything off me, and I have to like force it upon her. And like, she still works at the pub that she was working at before she blew. Not because obviously she needs to or anything, but she just enjoys working and things like that. So Nah, yeah, she's like probably the strongest force of role modeling in my life to this day, and never has been. So yeah, it's a sick feeling to be able to give back. And also, where I talk about all my spiritualism and manifesting and things like that, that all comes from her, and she practices witchcraft, not in a way that they're going to clip this and try to say that my mum's doing juju or anything like that, but like stones and things like that.
Which
and,
actually a lot of people do nowadays, manifesting in the crystals and all that.
Exactly, crystals and things like that. So the way I always say, like, nothing's ever really hit me too tough because I know that everything, the reason why I'm here is because I've manifested it and I'm meant to be here and it feels natural. She's the same. So also it's nice to have a member of my family that's been around me that also believed so well to the point where she's not that phased either. Obviously I've got distant family and uncles that are like mad excited, but it's like, right, you really done it. And then my mum's kind of like, yeah, but he was always gonna.
Yeah. So talk to me then about the time when it was quite hard for the both of you, and like, did that give, obviously it probably gave you extra push, but it must be mad. It's kind of like when I spoke to Ed Sheeran and he said he was like sleeping on sofas and he was like couch serving for so long. And I was like, how does it feel now you're at this level? Do you ever just think, I might go back there, or I could go back there? Or talk to me about that time.
It's not a thing, I'll talk to you about that, I'll say now, it's not a thing where I think back to it, it's not a thing where I think, I could go back there or anything, because I'm a very keep it moving person. Even within the time that's happening, obviously I use music as my venting tool. But apart from that, I'll have the worst day of my life and you'll see me and you won't have a fucking clue, innit? Like even when I was in school time, they tried to put me through counselling and different things. Like, it was never my thing of being like open and talking to someone. I'm not that, what's it called? Emotionally available, apart from when it comes to venting and writing music. From quite a young age, my mum was putting in a lot of work, but obviously when you become 14, 15 and you're in secondary school and you go to different mates' houses and see different families and their dynamics, obviously your eyes are open to a wider world. And you got me and my older brother and my mum living together in, I wouldn't say like a really rough area in Brighton, but it's not the nicest area of Brighton. Obviously we've moved from different places like 3 or 4 times. And I've said before in another interview, my older brother's got autism and love him to death, obviously. And like, he's amazing. He's one of the best people in my life and whatnot. But it was a thing when we was younger, and obviously there was more struggle for him and he was learning and how to cope with that. My mum kind of dove into that, researching it. She ended up becoming special education in schools, and as far as she could go with that in primary school, she got to. But it meant that my brother needed more catering for, so she spent a load of time with him. But so while you're juggling all that, obviously you're trying to also juggle the responsibilities of feeding us and clothes and rent and things like that. And it just become a thing where obviously sometimes rent goes up and prices change. So yeah, like it was, then got into secondary school, met my lot, doing more stupidness and maybe things I shouldn't have been doing. Not like badness or nothing, like I'm saying, like Brighton is a very different atmosphere from London in general. But no matter where you go, there's dumb shit and bad stuff going on. Everything I've just told you about going back to college, doing that with my older brother and me, went and got a black belt, done all of these things. The reason I didn't understand that it was struggle for a long time is because she's doing all of that and it still feels like everything's blessed.
But normal.
And that's why I feel that comes from me believing that I can do whatever I want to be able to do, kind of thing. But yeah, that was the first time I'd ever really seen my mum like properly break down, kind of thing, in front of me. I'm at an age where I'm maturing and manning up and things like that. So yeah, that was hard. And then that made me go even more hard, but not in the right area of my life. Still doing stupid things. I'm still around like a load of man them and blah, blah, blah. But I was making music, and obviously it's like £20 an hour studio time, I'm writing and going there, and she still wanted me to fully focus on that and not worry about her adult stresses, because that's what mums do, especially my mum. Then we've gone to somewhere else. Literally, I think within the last week of needing to find somewhere, our old school friend, like as in someone she went to school with that she hadn't spoke to in ages, like Facebook just popped up. Like, yeah, so we'd moved now to a completely other side, not even Brighton no more. This is like Worthing. Okay. Gone there. Still haven't blown up yet, but I'm making music. I'm starting college as well.
Okay.
So I'm doing music at college, but this is where the whole pivotal point of my narrative story, whatever you want to call it, changes.
Two things. I always say this about parents, like they could be going through such a shit time and you will never ever know. And that's why sometimes on the net, when I see people saying, yeah man, I had such a struggle life, I'm like, if your mum knew you was on the internet
talking about this,
chatting about
and that's why I always try and not do that. And even like this is probably the first time I've spoke on that properly, and that's why you can see I'm saying it in a way of like, I'm not trying to make it be like, oh, feel sorry for me and sympathy. And even you must be listening closely, because it's not something that I tend to shine a light on throughout my music. But obviously, like I say, I use it as a venting tool when we have it.
But I just, so big up your mum, big up mumsies, because, and also big up all the mums like that. And that's 100%. Why I get so annoyed with people on the internet that, struggle, and it's like.
But also, I understand what you're saying, but remember, struggle is perceptive.
I know.
So you can always say like, oh, you can't say struggle when my man struggle less than you, because it's
your story there,
brain.
I'm telling you, your story there is what people class as a hard time struggle, But like you said,
I wouldn't even say so.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You wouldn't, but a lot of people, that's what I'm saying. Your mum did so much to make you not feel like you were struggling, and that's what I mean. So the people on the internet that always like, oh yeah, I'm like, your mum and your parents have done so much to give you hot water, food, clothing, all these things. What, just because you can't get the Air Max 90s, now you're saying you were struggling? Like that's your equivalent. That's why you're saying you're struggling.
That was an example, plucked out of
because you know, but it's true.
But even if they're not going through exactly what I went through, there are different struggles, and mental health's a thing, and like.
I understand what you're saying, but look, Ardee's riding for you lot. I'm not riding for you lot.
I've got the man them that are rapping about struggles. You might blow, keep rapping in it.
Everyday struggle. So also, when you first came up, you got compared a lot to H, right? You guys did a song the other day, which is, again, was that a strategic thing? Was that a thing of like, everyone keeps comparing us, so we might as well do something together? It doesn't always have to be just because we're too similar, we might look similar, it's like me and someone else that interviews, they're always going to compare us, because it's like, oh, okay, or another black lady that presents, it's always going to be like, oh God, you two must be against each other. When sometimes you're like, actually, no, we're actually really cool with it, it's cool.
Yeah, it's with that as well, but also it was the opposite of, oh, everyone's comparing us, let's do something, because remember that we kind of let that die down first. So obviously all the comparisons were there, and I've always said I'd like to build my own platform and foundation, and that's why obviously we've done features and whatnot, but like if you look at the project, the only features on there are the ones that are already out, and one with Lola Young, big up herself. But no, so basically, he showed me love from the jump. 6 a.m. in Brighton, the first one you saw, that's the first one he saw. So we've chatted, and we're both kind of in a similar mindset of like, oh, like just fuck all the media. Not like fuck all the media, but everyone that's chatting shit. And so then we spoke loads. The first ever festival I'd performed at was via him. He brought me out on stage at Reading. We ain't got no songs together. He doesn't have to do that. It's his set. He's on the main stage at Reading, and he's given me that taste and whatnot. Obviously, like, with the comparisons, it would have been one of the reasons. But yeah, so we come mad cool from there. And musically, we're not similar. I don't think we even look that similar. There are bare other white UK rappers that I think I look more like, or like some people might say I look more like.
Exactly like.
But yeah, and then we just stayed chatting. We stayed cool from there, and it was more a thing of, in my interviews, and people ask me, they'd ask, and I'd be like, oh, it's gonna happen, without even speaking to him. And he'd be like, oh, it's gonna happen. Like, we both kind of knew it would happen, it was on our own terms. And then things just kind of fell into place. We were linking up more often. Obviously, I'd been Manny and done things for JD Sports and whatnot, and chatted. We just speak often. But also, yeah, that's what I was saying, sorry. Musically, not similar, don't look similar. Once I've been around him a lot, it's mad weird, because we are very similar people. Like, just as a person, do you know what, and not a brand.
When I see him out as well, he's very likable. Like, you're right, how are you?
Like vibely and bubbly, and also comfy in his own skin of not necessarily acting bad or whatever it is that you want to do, innit? But so then this year round, there was another release that was meant to come, like 2 days before War was coming out, or for it, like it was all lined up, like ready on Spotify platforms, we promoted it, marketing, everything. And then, we ended up going to the studio, made a few songs. That beat got played. I walked back in the room. I wasn't even in the room when this beat got played. And straight away, I thought of this concept of war. And I was like, yo, like, why don't we kind of spin the whole narrative and like not beef each other in the bars, but kind of like we were rapping differently to what we rap like. Like going, you know, like when man them used to cypher together and you trying to drop your best 16, like both our verses were cold, innit? So yeah, and then the concept was just war. That's why you see it in the video as well. And it kind of gave everybody what they wanted, but not what they expected at the same time.
Are you quite hands-on with everything to do? How much input do you have how much input have you had in peer pressure, like when it comes to your videos?
I'm trying to be as hands-on in everything as humanly possible. Obviously, some might not know, but Cheeky Bars and 6 AM, before every took off with music, on the side, I used to do studio engineering. So them 2 freestyles there, I engineered myself, innit? So, and anytime in the session, I'm sat with like the producer, helping him engineer, and like the more bigger I get, and then do the in sessions, they're kind of like, rah, like you're kind of mixing the tune yourself. You don't even need me to be here, kind of thing. But it's the same with the producers, and then whoever's got the guitar. Like, because musically I'm just in tune, and I've always been I used to play guitar when I was younger. It's an instrument, something that I want to pick up. I love music more than just rap, like just music in general. So when we're producing, a lot of real instruments, predominantly on the tape. I think there might be 1 or 2 tunes that don't, but that's all real piano, real guitar, like music being made on the tape and that. And I'm humming it to them, and then they get, and I'm hands-on on that.
How have you found navigating just social media? I remember all that stuff happened with Digger D when the voice notes or his DMs got leaked and all those type of things. And in the beginning, I think there was conversation, if I remember, people saying that you was like a industry plant and you was put here because, like, how do you find it?
I feel like I'm kind of lucky that industry plant thing come about, because if it didn't, Oliver Twist one would have never come out the way it did. But I'm talking about, you think I didn't take risks to get to this sitch, don't take the piss. And then my Daily Doppy and the way I'm writing about that. The second part, just because of like I needed to prove something, I felt. And the first part, that song originally was called Industry Plant, and we used it for the first part of the Daily Doppy. But also, I got to see very early on in my career a narrative be pushed via the media, and it kind of gets spun out of control and believed to a certain extent. So I had to kind of sit back and not teach myself, but just be like, yo, sometimes people are just going to talk and there's not a lot you can do. But also, the industry plant thing, the reason I say I'm lucky is because it was so ridiculous, but so big, that I got the best of both worlds where it didn't affect me mentally too much. Because like, in UK, especially rap, I'm not saying you ain't got certain, like, you got like X Factor people that blow and then you've kind of implanted because you've had my man give you something. But yeah, in terms of UK rap, you have to be accepted, first and foremost, really, in London. And me coming out of London is harder to do than being from London and accepted in London, because I'm not rapping necessarily what is lived around here or what's going on around here. And that's the epicenter of UK rap music. If that's not getting the main buzz, all the way away from that isn't even going to hear it. You have to give it the green light. And I was rapping for years before I came with a sound that was like, yo, people are picking up on this one, let's run with it. So, but also, people, like you said, jumped in to my music from 6 AM. And that might have looked like that to you. Like, you don't know how just randomly this young little white kid is placed on the Body remix with Tion and Russ, and that they might think like, Arrdee's uncle must work at Warner Brothers or something. That's not the case, innit? Obviously, I had a relationship with Tion before that. Again, it's not something that I felt to put out on the internet. That's for me to know and just be humble with myself, you know what I'm saying?
What about how did it feel when all the Digger D stuff happened?
Again, that was something that I feel was blown a bit out of proportion. Obviously, things were said, and separate to that, if all the mandem's DMs were leaked, like, especially with, like,
I thought he was going to be like, especially you, ZEZE.
No.
Like,
I
whoa.
was going to say like an all-boy group,
Yeah.
like Testosterone, and when my man dropped something, or like he's dropped a picture and he's got 6 gal in his picture, and then you send it in your chat, and look at my dickhead thinking he's sick of all his gal and that.
No,
so like, it's like, sometimes it's not even necessarily as heavy-hearted as what people make out, but also, I don't think what was said was that bad. Obviously, there was somebody that thought I was shit. Music is interpretable. If you don't like my music, that's absolutely fine. I've built a fan base that does like my music, and the song worked, so the tune wasn't shit, innit? Right. And it's one of the biggest songs I know of my sets that I do anyway when I perform it. I don't know, obviously I can't speak for him. And also, me and him are still cool, innit? Still show love and comments, and we still speak and whatnot, so there wasn't something that fazed me, to be honest.
I feel like when I heard all that stuff around the conversation around like cultural appropriation and whatnot, and there was this whole talk about Jingle Bell Ball and why they don't have any black artists and stuff, and I tweeted and I said, you know what, I actually really like Arrdee. I think Ardee's really cool, but my thing is with us sometimes as a people, actually, it's like we embrace somebody and then we're like, wait a minute, you slow the fuck down. Don't do too much
Don't
now.
work so hard, man.
Like, slow down now. And it's like, what would you want him to do? Like, you've embraced him, you embraced him into the culture, you was like that, and now you want him to be like, well, actually, no. So is that hard for you to navigate, to know, like, okay, I can say this much, I can't say this much, how does it feel?
That's a good question, you know, because I feel that the UK in general is like that. And that's why, even obviously, I don't want this to be worded the wrong way, because I've got massive love for the whole scene and everybody who laid down the foundations and the old school rappers and people who are still doing their things now, and like goats in this thing like Gets and Kano and people like that. But even sometimes, there's such a thing to be like cool and like, yeah, I'm still part of the scene, that you're almost boxing yourself off. Like, we have the viewing and audience now. Like, people are dropping on their own channels from the jump and going wild. You've got people like Sench, you see him out in like Amsterdam and Prague and places like that. Like, we have international superstars coming out of the UK now. And the scene itself, sometimes even, so I didn't have as much creative freedom as I wanted to from the jump of my career, because obviously my manager knew more than me and was like, look, sound like the UK, you have to kind of, like, drill was the popping sound, and when it was grime was the popping sound, and when it was garage, like, we stick to that one sound, and you kind of have to walk a certain way, talk a certain way. You can't be too flamboyant, and I feel like predominantly in other countries, especially like rap music, America, you've got man that are painting their face blue, and there are a million different subgenres, and the creative freedom and potential that then gives that artist, because they got creative freedom, is mad. So yeah, I'd say it's something that I have to juggle with. Even all now, like, there are certain concepts and things that I'd love to do with videos and songs I want to make and promoting things in certain ways that obviously, because we're in the UK and we're smaller, I feel like the most bandwagony audience out of a lot of other audiences, where it's like, even if you do really feel it, and this is hard, if the other 8% are saying it's weird and shit, you want to pretend, innit?
No, it's true. Like, literally, when I first started doing ZEZE MILLZ, it was like, oh, she's always chatting shit. What's this girl? She's such a dumb. What are you speaking for? And I'll be like, okay. And then, like, as time's gone, it's like, oh, you know what? I rate your team. Yeah, man.
No, yeah, it's easy.
Speaking your mind, man. I'm like, are you alright? I've been doing this for
but
the last.
That's because it become trendy.
Right, this is what I'm saying.
So
and then it's like,
whatever's trend, and that's the same with comment sections. I was talking to you about comment sections earlier. Yeah. The first 50 comments, even if you've got 20,000 comments on your post, are the most important ones if you're a UK artist. Yeah. 1,000,000%.
And it's mad as well.
And that's a lot of blueprints, by the way, for a lot of, not necessarily me, but other artists. Like, they might have certain people, yo, comment this on that and that, so then that sets off the...
Oh, look at Arrdee giving us... where are my team that are in the comments
like, yo,
of Shade Borough?
Drop 50 nice comments.
That's
Everyone
what I'm
else,
saying.
I promise you, try it one time. Don't do it right after this, because it'll take. But try it, it will work.
Do you know what? That I'm going to get people to go into Shade Borough comments now and be like, Z, instead of everyone's in the comments. I wish this girl would shut her mouth. Like, honestly, I can't.
But I'm not going to lie, that page specifically, that's kind of what that's for. Like, it's a gossip page for everyone. Have
you got a burner account for any of those pages?
Huh?
Or do you just go in there on your own page? I know, like, a lot of artists have, or people actually in the limelight have, like, burner accounts. No. I don't have a burner account. I have another account that I use sometimes.
No, I go on, the only account that I comment on that, all the blog pages that, like, I publicly show my interaction with is Made You Think, because in my opinion, he got one of the best pages for all of them things. But
he's gonna love this. Literally, like,
yourself, my boy.
Everyone comes and says, "Yeah, Made You Think." Made You Think's the one, you know.
Yeah, trust me, but it's the most, in my opinion, non-biased one, because he's always, even if he does kind of push an opinion, it's like, what's your thoughts?
Be like, thoughts.
Yeah,
like,
thoughts.
This John is looking nice. Thoughts. That's what he'll say.
But yeah, no, Shade Brothers thing is to be the juiciest possible, and that's if you're following them, that's what you're there to see, innit? So
talk to us quickly, just before, about your future plans, peer pressure. What can people expect? When is it out? How many tracks? This is a mixtape, guys. This is a mixtape. It's not. This is what artists. This is a mix.
Including body and that. 13, yeah. Okay. So yeah, Peer Pressure. My debut mixtape comes out 18th of this month, 18th of March. Like I was kind of saying to you earlier, it's just a body of work that I feel, one, obviously I'm massively proud of, but two, was necessary. I was saying before, because the come up I had in the game, a lot of UK rappers, they build their fan base, they work out what kind of people they are, what music they like, what they like from them as an artist, and then give them that. Where my audience was just basically global, or minimum the whole of the country from quite a jump, I'm putting out songs just like, you know what, I need to prove I can do another chart topper, another banger. And then in that meantime, where they're kind of liking me, the people that like me from the radio or wherever they found me from, follow me, find out my personality, who I am as a person, what I'm about, what I stand up for, represent my brand, etc., etc. So now it feels like a nice time to just show the levels of my artistry and the different layers to me. And it's not, obviously there's Cheeky Chappy and there's lit club party songs on there, but there's also other sides to me. And I feel like it's the first time my fan base will get to know Riley as well as Arrdee, because obviously as much as I keep it real, there are two separate things. And it's very musical, but put like I said, mostly real instruments.
Are you a little bit nervous? Because obviously all the songs you've put out maybe thus far have been quite, you know, the jumpy ones, get the people going. Are you, because often I do speak to artists and they'll say, you know, when they put out the more in-depth ones where they're intimate, where they're sharing their thoughts, how they feel, it doesn't normally translate well with their audience sometimes, and that's why then they do the jump up. Do you have, are you a little bit worried?
I'll tell you what, even that, yeah, so obviously, proper deep rap songs, like maybe you ain't got as much of like a catchy hook. It's not meant to do the charty, like you've done crazy numbers, it's got mad amount of streaming. But the people who do like that and are drawn to that intimate, knowing the artist more, they're your real fans. And the more you do it, the bigger your solid fan base will be. So it's not so much worried, but more just interested and intrigued to see how big a portion that would be of the 7 X amount million monthly listeners I've got, or the however many 80 million people that have streamed Oliver Twist or whatever. Just drop some numbers quickly.
Just quickly drop the numbers, you know, just quite flex.
I was so humble the whole interview. Just once.
No, you was. You got to let the people know. Do you know what I mean? It's like when Drake says, I'm going to try and not say, look at the plane, but look at the plane. Fuck are you saying? Like, do you get what I mean? It's a bit like, yeah, you know what I mean? I've done.
But no, I'm excited as well for people to see that side to me, whether it, like, I know it will do crazy numbers because the music is music, innit? So, but yeah, it'd be good to see.
Well, it's been lovely talking to you. I always kind of knew that we was going to have a good chat.
Yeah, man, we get along.
I think you're good. I think you're good peoples. Like whenever I've seen you out, you just like I said, you just seem high on life.
Yeah, man.
Like you're just happy and grateful as well. I feel like gratitude when I'm around, when you know some people you're around them and they're a bit cocky.
I hate bougie.
Yeah, and they're just.
That's one of the things of like being from Brighton, I think as well. Like we're the most non-judgmental town ever, but also if I did that to an artist and bougie and like, no, you can't come around me, you can't get like bare security and dumb things around me, they'd be like, who the fuck do you think you are? Like our clubs is like £130 for a whole bottle, you know. Like, and there's the VIP isn't really VIP, like you can't act. Whereas in London, if you're not acting kind of a certain way in a club and you're sporting your best garms and spending, like everybody, if I was spending thousands and thousands of pounds in my clubs in Brighton, they wouldn't be like, raw, my man's like got money now. They'd be like, look at that dickhead up there. There's £1 Jaeger bombs down there and he's spending thousands and thousands of pounds up there. So yeah, it's not something that I think will ever come to me.
What's the girl saying?
I'm grateful. What do you mean?
What's the girls saying?
The girls or the girl?
Yeah, you must be reeling in the girls. The girl, them sugar. Oh, the girl. You said, oh, the girl. So
you said, oh, the girls or the girl.
What?
I don't know what question you was asking.
I thought you meant the girl. Have you got a girl?
Yeah.
Ardee's got. The young ones have the girls.
But I'll be real with you though. It's
not why. I mean, it's good.
I'll be real with you, and she won't mind me saying this either. It's more of a difficult thing to navigate as an artist. One, because you want to keep your private life private, and then in the same breath, which is understandable from the other person as well. It's like, oh, you've got all these hundreds of thousands of girls throwing this out at you and DMing you and sending you mad freaky videos and blah blah blah, and it's like you don't even. Really, people don't know you have a girl unless they know you, or like obviously you've asked me.
I'm with her. So, I'm with her on that one.
But also my private life is my private life, and the same with like videos where like Come and Go. Obviously, there's acting in the video. Earlier, I was at shopping this Thursday. There's acting in the video where I don't want to have my one. She's not a qualified actress. She does what she does in her own lane.
I mean, how many of these music girls videos?
No, I didn't get models. I got actresses.
Ardee's getting actresses.
Young, up and coming actresses. Big up Gabby and Emmy, innit? But yeah, that's the thing of like I have to be intimate with them, and then my thing is like, oh, what if I've got to go do a TV show or a film where I have to lip someone? Or
Are you getting into acting?
I'd love to. I ain't yet, but I'd love to. Yeah, I'd love to.
It makes sense, I would say. So basically, sometimes you have to fling up like a hair strand or something. No, so she feels like you're letting the world know. A hand, Arrdee.
She's been on my, maybe you ain't watching as close as I thought. She's been on the story a few times.
Okay, well then
still.
people know.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, some would like everyone.
She wants the main grid. Yeah. She wants the feature page. That's what she wants. She wants the main grid.
Yeah,
it makes sense. No, but it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I wish you the best.
Appreciate
I think you're here for quite a long time.
100%.
Hopefully people get to see a different side to you in this interview. People get to see...
I'm going to say in this day, most certainly.
Yeah, like a different side to you, which that's always my aim when I speak to people, especially if I know people see them in one way. I like to see the other side, like you said, Riley. And
mature me, not like, hey!
No, but you are actually really
mature.
Listen, I've had better conversations with you than I have the older guys that have come on here. Honestly.
Yeah, he says that all the time.
Innit, Andy? Literally. Like, literally. Times we've been like, oh, God. Like, pulling the teeth out, like... And then, I ask the question, yeah, that's all that's it, man. And you're just like, okay, and more? No more? Okay, fine. No, but thank you. Any questions for me? Any questions for me before we go?
No, I don't, you know. You asked me earlier and I actually tried to think of some, but you're quite open on your Twitter and everything's there.
I talk about everything. I do. I say everything. I'm there.
You make me laugh. Sometimes I feel like you ask for it, you know. Like I don't agree or disagree with everything you say or anything you say, but sometimes I feel like, you know what, she's just trying to fucking rile everyone up.
The thing is, someone said this to me the other day. There's like, you should, and I'm like, everything I say, I actually think about before I say it.
Yeah,
I know
of course.
And
we're in a similar industry.
Yeah,
I know what you're doing. Don't worry
I think
about
it's myself, but I also think, like what you were saying earlier, do I have the capacity to even deal with the backlash, if that makes sense? So every time I put something out and I've had backlash, I've actually thought about it. You
planned about the backlash, of course.
I've thought about, am I mentally there to deal with what's going to come with it? Like, this is actually my opinion, but I know once I put this opinion out, it might have a bad, so am I there mentally to deal with, oh, you're so dumb? Also, I have the self-discipline not to answer back to everything, because I'm there, I'm always like, argumentative. But yes. Thank you, Arrdee. So make sure you like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your mum, tell your dad, tell everyone. We out.